What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This here's Legitical Response. I cover political news, and I also destroy the corporate press narrative on a constant basis, and that's what we got coming today. We've got an opinion piece, so take that for what it's worth. Maybe a little bit of grain of salt here. This is going to be biased, of course, but, for the most part, the facts are here, and the facts are true, because facts can only be facts, right? They can't be lies. Of course, they can put out lies as facts. That doesn't mean it's going to be true. But let's get into this story because this covers well outside beyond the headline. Like, I'm surprised. I almost didn't read this article, and I'm so glad I did, y'all. Check this out. Why Elon Musk's lawsuit against media matters. It does matter. The censorship regime that's going on right now is insane. What the left wing is trying to do to everybody is insane. Let's get into it. This week, a federal judge ruled that a lawsuit by Elon Musk against Media Matters can move forward in what could prove to be a significant case, not just for the liberal outlet, but the entire media industry. The decision comes at the same time as other court wins for former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin against the New York Times and a Navy veteran against CNN. Yeah, there's a lot of lawsuits going on suing the corporate press and the mainstream narrative machine, and I'm loving it and I'm here for it. For years, media organizations and journalism schools have expressly abandoned objectivity in favor of advocacy journalism, right? This is pretty much just activism. This abandonment of neutrality has coincided, unsurprisingly, with a drop in public faith in media to record lows. Yes, nobody trusts the corporate press anymore. Sorry, I'm having a lot of tongue twisters today for some reason. I'm not sure why. Former New York Times writer and now Howard University journalism professor Nicole Hannah-Jones has been lionized for declaring that all journalism is activism. Emily Garcia Reese, editor-in-chief at the San Francisco Chronicle, similarly announced that objectivity has got to go. What? That's insane. Objectivity is the basis of our reality, right? Once again, the media used to serve a great purpose. You hold the party in power accountable for their actions when they mess up, right? Praise them when they do wrong. Sure, go right ahead. I don't care. I'll be right there along with you when they do good. But don't ignore facts. Don't ignore the bad stuff, right? Just because it's the same party that you vote for, you people out there, right? Talking about the corporate press and the mainstream narrative machine. Just because you guys are Democrats doesn't mean you get to prop up the Democrat regime with no side effects, right? With no blowback. This is insane. This is insane. That's why the legacy media, if you will, is going downhill and going downhill fast. J-schools have been teaching students for years to discard old-fashioned ideas of simply reporting facts, and as stated at the University of Texas at Austin, so leave neutrality behind. That's insane to me. They are actively teaching these people to be activists, to give you a distorted reality, like a biased reality, a distorted view of whatever happens. Once again, I say this all the time. This is what the corporate press does. They love to twist the narrative. They'll take a set of facts and they'll try to word it in such a way to push the narrative in a certain direction. And it's always their own direction. It's always left-leaning. Right? We do have right-leaning outlets out there, but you guys know every time I get a right-leaning source or something neutral, as a matter of fact, like this, it's kind of neutral, but it's right-leaning compared to the left bias. I always tell you guys that, hey, look, this is a biased article, blah, 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 blah. Take it with a grain of salt, but the facts are all here. Which is a good thing, if you ask me, because my bias is right-leaning. I'm a conservative. I'm not a Republican, right? I don't identify with the Republican Party because we have way too many rhinos, and the Republican Party as a whole currently is garbage, right? The MAGA movement is something different within the Republican Party, which I think that's the way to go. America first type of stuff here, right? Not saying that we don't care, right? Like the left, they want to call that isolationism. No, that's not isolationism. That's just nationalism, right? Which, don't let these people, the left wing, don't let them fool you. Nationalism there's nothing wrong with that, with having a little bit of pride in your nation, with wanting to put your own nation first before other nations. That's not saying we shouldn't get out there and help nobody else in the world, because as a matter of fact, I think we should. I like migration, as a matter of fact. Stuff like that. Foreign policy is very integral to the United States, considering us our standing in the world, right? We're the lone superpower, right? Which China is right on our doorsteps with that, but we're a superpower. We have a lot of influence over the world. We have a really good governing system here. It's got its flaws, but I am of the opinion that you need to clean up around your own house before trying to clean up somebody else's house, before talking about somebody else's house, right? That's my view of the whole situation. That's my view of nationalism, right? We should clean up our own house first, eliminate all of our problems. Once we do that, I have no problem whatsoever helping the world. We can send our entire budget to Ukraine. I wouldn't give a damn, as long as we have no problems in the United States. Just saying. Let's keep going. In a series of interviews with more than 75 media leaders by Leonard Dowie Jr., former Washington Post executive editor, and Andrew Hayward, former CBS News president, reaffirmed this new vision of journalism. Dowie explained that objectivity is viewed as a trap, and reporters feel it negates many of their own identities, life experience, and cultural contexts, keeping them from pursuing truth in their work. That's just insane. As the public abandons mainstream media for alternative news sources, news organizations are now facing the added cost of bias in the form of defamation and disparagement lawsuits. Media lawyers are citing protections secured by the old media, while their clients are publicly espousing their intention to frame the news to advance political and social agendas. CNN, for example, is now facing a trial and a lawsuit by Navy veteran Zachary Young, the subject of an alleged hit piece over his work to extract endangered people from Afghanistan after the Taliban takeover. In a November 11th, 2021 segment on CNN's The Lead with Jake Tapper, the host tells his audience ominously how CNN correspondent Alex Marquette discovered Afghans trying to get out of the country face a black market full of promises, demands of exorbitant fees, and no guarantee of safety or success. Marquette named Young and his company in claiming that desperate Afghans are being exploited and need to pay exorbitant, often impossible amounts to flee the country. Discovery revealed how Marquette said that he wanted to nail this Zachary Young MFer after promising to nail Young. CNN editor Matthew Phillips responded, "Gonna hold you to that, cowboy." That sentiment was echoed by other CNN staff in allowing the case to go to trial. A judge found not just evidence of actual malice by CNN, but grounds for potential punitive damages. Holy crap, right? The logic around that. To get some of these people out of Afghanistan, that's going to cost money. You think people are going to do that for free? Of course, I'm sure these people are trying to raise money to help do that, but you think it's going to be free? And then for CNN to go in and try to damage this person for doing that. That's insane, y'all. Likewise, Palin recently won a major appeal before the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit, which found that Palin was denied a fair trial in a case against the New York Times. In 2017, liberal activist and Bernie Sanders supporter James T. Hodgkinson attempted to massacre Republican members of Congress on a baseball diamond, nearly killing Rep. Steve Scalise. The New York Times, eager to shift the narrative, ran an editorial suggesting that Palin had inspired incited Jared Loughner's 2011 shooting of then Rep. Gabrielle Giffords. The Times editor stated that Sarah Pack, Palin's political action committee, had posted a graphic that put a crosshair on a U.S. map representing Giffords' district before she was shot, suggesting that this was direct incitement to violence. In reality, Palin's graphic, targeting about 20 vulnerable House Democrats all across the country, is typical of graphics used in political campaigns by both parties for many decades. No evidence has ever been offered that Giffords' deranged shooter even saw it. That's insane. But we know this is what they tried to do, right? When Donald Trump says get out there peacefully and patriotically, make your voices heard, they get on CNN and MSNBC and say this is a call to violence, even though he said peacefully and patriotic. Like, what? These people are insane. But that's why you gotta watch these people, and that's why I'm trying to get people that watch MSNBC, CNN, CBS, ABC, NBC, and Fox, as a matter of fact. But Fox is getting there, but they're not as bad as some of these other companies. But I'm trying to get these people off of the mainstream narrative machine, off of the corporate press. As a matter of fact, I would recommend to people to go read corporate press articles, but keep an open mind that not everything is going to be actually true, and read it carefully, because that's what you have to do. You have to read the corporate press carefully to get the facts, right? I'm constantly pointing out to you guys when they're trying to sow a narrative, when they're trying to push a narrative in a certain direction. It happens all the time. Pretty much every article I read, there's some sort of narrative directive. But Musk's lawsuit may be the most defining for our age of advocacy journalism. He is suing Media Matters, the left-wing outlet founded by David Brock, whom Time described as one of the most influential operatives in the Democrat Party. Although Brock is no longer with the site, Media Matters has long been accused as being a weaponized media outlet for the left. Yeah, I would think that's an accurate description. They're constantly putting hit pieces out on only Republicans or right-leaning individuals. They never put any hit pieces. Sorry, I'm slipping up bad today for some reason. They never put any hit pieces for any left-leaning people whatsoever, at all, ever. I know I said that twice, but I don't care. After Musk dismantled the censorship system at Twitter, he became something of an obsession for Media Matters, which targeted his revenue sources, right? They're going after... We know that, as a matter of fact. The outlet ran a report suggesting that advertisements of major corporations were being posted next to pro-Nazi posts or otherwise hateful content on the platform. As I discuss in my new book, this effort mirrored similar moves by the anti-free speech movement against Musk to force him to restore censorship systems. Now, what Media Matters did, right? They went to a bunch of pro-Nazi posts, and what they would do is they would sit there and just keep hitting refresh on their browser, right? Just refresh until certain advertisers came up, and then they would screenshot that. That's how they did it. That's how they were trying to, right? Which is cheating the system, right? That there's mechanisms in place to keep certain advertisers from certain content. But when you manipulate the system like that, you're going to break the system, right? Like, people are smart. Some people are smart. Some people know they're lying. That's why I despise Media Matters, as a matter of fact. I would love for them to do a hit piece on me and try to break down some of what I say here, because they would have a hard time doing so. I can promise you that. Companies including Apple, IBM, Comcast, Lionsgate Entertainment quickly joined the effective boycott to squeeze Musk. The problem is that it is hard to squeeze the world's richest man financially. Musk told the companies to pound sand and told his lawyers to file suit. The allegations in the lawsuit read like a textbook on advocacy journalism. Media Matters is accused of knowingly misrepresenting their real user experience by manipulating the algorithms to produce the pairing alleged in its story. That's what I was talking about, how they just keep hitting refresh until you see an ad that's not supposed to be next to this content. It's insane. Like, I kind of don't understand why there's pro-Nazi content out there. Like, I don't get that. But what I do get is what free speech is supposed to be. You know, we are allowed to be despicable. We are allowed to get out there and lie, right? Mis and disinformation is all over the place, right? And they say that that's why we get banned off of X or Instagram or Meta, Facebook, all these other social media platforms. TikTok is really, really bad about this. It's for mis and disinformation. Right, but who bans the corporate press for mis and disinformation when they put out mis and disinformation, right? The government doesn't get banned when they lie to the American people constantly. So why should we? We have freedom of speech, for crying out loud. The complaint accuses Media Matters of running its manipulation to produce extremely unlikely pairings, such that one toxic match appeared for only one viewer out of more than 500 million on all of X, Media Matters. In other words, the organization wanted to write a hit piece connecting X to pro-Nazi material and proceeded to artificially create pairings between the material and corporate advertisements. It then ran the story as news. Indeed, two defendant employees of Media Matters did not deny that they were aware of the alleged manipulation and that they were seeking to poison the well for advertisers in order to drain advertising revenues for X. Although the media covered another judge blocking an effort by state officials to sue Media Matters over the anti-Musk effort, there has been comparably less coverage of the green light for the lawsuit in Texas. That's insane. But once again, this is what the corporate press does. It is hard to find certain news coming from corporate press outlets. It's just insane. You got to go and search for these things because, like, there's certain outlets that they just don't promote whatsoever. Even Ground News does this, and that's who I generally use. I use Ground News because they aggregate all the corporate press into one place. And then they tell you all kinds of information like the political leanings of the companies, blah, 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 blah. It's a really good website to use. It's a really good app. I use the app, but they do have a website as well. And no, this isn't sponsored by Ground News, which, hey, Ground News, by the way, if you want, I don't mind. If you want to sponsor me, I would love that. And I would speak highly of Ground News because I use it every single day and it's great. Like I say, they show the political leanings. They show you how many left-wing sources are covering a certain thing, how hard their bias is, blah, 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 blah. It just goes on and on and on, the data about some of these places, just so you know the information of where you're getting your information from. U.S. District Judge Reed O'Connor of the Northern District of Texas rejected an effort to dismiss the case on jurisdictional and other grounds. Musk will be able to continue his claims of torturous interference with existing contracts, business disparagement, and torturous interference with prospective economic advantage. Musk is also suing the Global Alliance for Responsible Media, which also targeted advertisers to choke off targeted sites. Not surprisingly, although the media has heralded lawsuits like the one by Dominion Voting Systems against Fox News, which led to a large settlement, they are overwhelmingly hostile towards the Musk lawsuits. It is not hard to see why. The Media Matters lawsuit directly challenges the ability of media outlets to create false narratives to advance a political agenda. As with the CNN and New York Times cases, it can expose how the media first decides on a conclusion and then frames or even invents the facts to support it. This is true, and this is what I do on YouTube. This is my only reason for existence here. While rejecting the long-standing principles of journalism such as objectivity, these media outlets are citing the cases and defenses secured by those non-outdated media organizations. By those now outdated media organizations. They want to be advocates, but they also want to be protected as journalists. That's insane, and that is just so funny. There was a little bit more to this story, but I kind of cut the fat, if you know what I mean, because he went on and on and on about some rambling BS that I just cut out. But I would suggest go read that article in its entirety. It's crazy. But this is what the corporate press does. This is what the mainstream narrative machine does. And this is what I do, right? I'm here to counter this. I'm here to point out the biases in these news articles, in these mainstream narrative machine videos that you're constantly seeing, because these people put out what they put out, their narratives, as fact, right? Like he said, twisting the narrative around to fit their worldview, and in some cases, just making up facts, right? Like the last video we covered, where they're saying that Donald Trump absolutely, with 100% assurance, put out this video on TikTok for strictly political purposes, which is just not true. It's not true at all. We know for a fact, through the research, through the video I covered, that Donald Trump, this wasn't a scheduled campaign event. This was something outside. As a matter of fact, he had to cancel an event, cancel something he was going to go do this for personal reasons. Not for political reasons, but the corporate press and the mainstream narrative machine are putting it out there like he did it strictly for politics, right? Once again, acting as if Donald Trump stopped being a human when he started his political campaign, right? People don't just stop being human, right? He can go do an event and it not be for political purposes, right? Does it serve a political purpose? Sure. But that's not the main reason he was there. That's not the main reason he posted that video on TikTok. It wasn't for political purposes. It's just insane what they do. But once again, like I said, I'm glad that they do it to an extent, because I am here to point it out. And if they didn't do this, if we had a genuine media that reported on the facts, and sure, maybe give your opinion, but they give you all the facts in the factual reality context of what it is, and then speak their opinion, I wouldn't be on YouTube at all. I'm just a normal guy, just doing my thing. I probably wouldn't be here, to be honest with you. But because of that, I am here, and I'm loving it. But I think I've rambled on for long enough. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. I mean, does this blow your mind that the media does this? That it's blatantly obvious that they do it? Or is this just standard protocol, run-of-the-mill actions by some activists in the mainstream narrative machine? Y'all let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments. That's all I got. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.